Better late than never, right? Hey everyone, welcome to Prince the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode, let me make sure I get this right, 1131 of One Piece. Sorry for this being a day late, just due to circumstances beyond my control. I wasn't able to record yesterday, and so we're finally getting around to this today. And yeah, I'm nervous-sighted, I guess you could say. I'm nervous and excited because this flashback has the potential to be even more devastating than it already has been. But it's also like really exciting to learn this information because of, as I've talked about in the past, how long we've been following Kuma. We met Kuma back in Thriller Bark and have gotten little bits of information over time, little hints at things. And we've always kind of wondered what the deal was, and now we're finding out. We're getting all the information that we hadn't, already gotten. So it's really great to see Oda's continued developments and character work with this. And with Oda, it's like it's unclear if he was like planning all of this ahead of time or if this just fell into place. Because Oda's one of those mangaka who has done both. Some things are just completely off the fly, just completely like sudden and thrown in for the hell of it, like the seven warlords weren't originally supposed to be a thing, or the the worst generation, they were kind of just thrown in last minute too. But then there's been stuff that, oh yeah, this has very clearly been set up and been worked for years. This was the intent, and it was just a matter of getting there. And so it's hard to say whether or not this is one of those examples, because this could be either one and I would believe it. But with the amount of setup we have gotten, I assume that Oda always planned for something big with Kuma. I just don't know if this exactly was it. Though, as I've stated in the past, with the way that Bonnie was reacting to Kuma's, or to the pacifistas looking like Kuma and everything during Marineford, I have to assume it at least was planned since then. At least since that point. Because it just, like, that's too much evidence to be a coincidence. But, I don't know. Either way, I'm excited to see more. We're getting more of the backstory. We got some stuff with God Valley and everything. And one of the big things is that at the end of the last episode, we saw both Kuma and Ginny break down into tears, finally being happy for the first time in a long time, finding freedom and joy after, literal slavery. It's great to see them happy again, but, obviously very emotional to see them, crying out of that happiness. But now I guess we got to see where it goes, because we do know that eventually Kuma reunites with Ivankov, because they join the Revolutionary Army. In fact, I think they form it together with Dragon. So we're gonna have to see how that happens. We're gonna have to see like when Bonnie is born compared to all of this, because we have now met her parents, so we're going to have to see quite a few things, I feel. Excuse me. Probably before we even get to Bonnie. I assume there's still quite a few things we have to work out. And I assume the Revolutionary Army forming is one of those things. But I guess we'll just have to watch and find out what happens next. I I've said it before, but there's like certain things I know, but without context, I don't know like the full details. And I just I don't know how it's all gonna fit in. Because there's a lot I still don't know. Excuse me. There's a lot that I still am unaware of. I'd say most of it I am. It's just because the One Piece fandom is shit with spoilers, I do occasionally see a random thing or two. And I'll let you know. I'll always let you know when we come across something that I was spoiled on. Um, so for the time being, I think we should just get into this and see what happens next, because I don't really know. But yeah, let's check this out. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So this episode is basically here to show us two things. One, it shows us like Kuma and Ginny's continued relationship, how it grew from a friendship to love, but Kuma having a hard time accepting it due to him, having the Buccaneer bloodline heritage and not feeling as worthy of things and feeling like he'd only put Ginny in danger by being with her. And on top of that, we see just how he takes so much onto himself to help others. Using his powers, he's able to, push pain out of others, which we've seen before. Like, we've seen this exact thing in Thriller Bark with him doing that to Luffy. But once the pain is, like, formed into the paw bubble, I guess you could call it, it will go back after a time to the owner unless it is taken care of. It has to be taken on to someone else. And this is not a huge surprise that this is a major drawback, because most, if not all, devil fruits have some level of major drawback that's, keeps them from being just excessively OP. And this is definitely Kuma's big drawback. The pawpaw fruit is obviously very powerful. It can do so many things. It has so many uses. But, like, using it for a purpose like this, like, either means that you're going to only be helping out temporarily, or you're going to have to take the pain onto yourself, or have someone else take it onto themselves. And it's either way not a good option. It sucks no matter what. But Kuma is very happy to take it onto himself because he wants to help people no matter what. Growing up in the way that he did is obviously what caused this mindset, with everything that happened with his parents being killed, being a slave to the Celestial Dragons, and the fires of revolution being ignited within him in his first interaction with Eva, and escape from God Valley. He gained this intense desire to help others above anything else, to put their needs and their, safety above his own. And it's as Eva said when he was bringing Dragon in. It's like, you'll like him. Because Eva saw that in him even back then. Eva knew that's the kind of guy Kuma was, and knew that that would make him perfect for the revolution that they were starting. And that's the second big part of this episode, the start of the Revolutionary Army. We see its birth here. How Dragon, a former Marine, we find out, had become disillusioned with the world government and the Navy and decided to become a revolutionary, initially starting this with Eva. And when him and his soldiers came to the Sorbet Kingdom after hearing of what was going on here, I don't even know if it was after that. They might have only found out after they got there. They might have actually been coming for Kuma and Ginny originally. But either way, they came there, they found out about what was happening, and instantly took action. And they forced the king to retract his, slavery-based policy. At this point, they weren't even the Revolutionary Army. They were just revolutionaries. They hadn't actually become the organization that we know them to become. But they recruit Kuma and Ginny, and the two end up becoming massive pillars for what would become the Revolutionary Army. And I'm kind of a little irritated, like, when it's talking about, like, oh, alongside the two pillars, like, Dragon and Eva, Kuma helped form the Revolutionary Army, and it's showing Ginny as just, like, a member. But then it, like, goes to point out that, like, she's, like, the captain of the Eastern Forces. And it's like, she's not just some member, and she never was. With her connection to both Kuma and Eva, she honestly was just as important as they were. Let's be completely honest here. And definitely was just as important to the formation of the Revolutionary Army. And honestly, knowing her personality, she wouldn't have had it any other way. She would have made sure that she was just as important. So it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's almost like revisionist history, like maybe of the world government, maybe of like Morgan's, that are like painting it as being like, oh, just those main three pillars as being the ones who really started the Revolutionary Army as an organization. I feel like it's from one of those two sources, rather than like being actually akin to what the Revolutionary Army themselves see it as. Because, Kuma and Eva would both entirely stand up for Ginny as being integral for the creation of the RA. Like, that's not even a question. Dragon, I don't know as much, because we haven't seen, like, much interaction there. But we did see his reaction to when Ginny got kidnapped, when she got taken hostage or whatever. And he was definitely scared by that. And we know he stands for justice. We know he stands for, a lot of good ideologies and just morality in general. I mean, he's going to have, I feel, that kind of reaction for any of his team, for any of the revolutionaries, because he cares about them, because he just cares about people. A lot of people like to, say, oh, he's a terrible father, he abandoned his son. Yes, because he's going to take his newborn son, around the world and put him in active danger as part of the Revolutionary Army. Yeah, that makes sense. No. He obviously, put Luffy in an environment where he knew Luffy would be safe. Plus, he's not going to raise Luffy in the Revolutionary Army because that completely goes against his ideals. Dragon would rather have Luffy make a decision himself. And if that comes to the Revolutionary Army, cool. If it doesn't, fine. He said, like, in his first appearance, the first time we ever saw Dragon during Logetown, he and I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, a pirate, eh? Well, I'm all right with that. He was basically saying, like, about Luffy's choice to become a pirate over something else. He's like, he's glad he's just not a Marine, basically, or part of the world government. He's fine with him being a pirate because he knows that that is Luffy following his freedom. And he's briefly, at least, seen what Luffy is like at that point. So he can see that that is the kind of person Luffy is. So it makes sense. He wanted Luffy to make the choice himself, and he's fine with the choice that Luffy made. He didn't just abandon him for, like, the sake of abandoning him. He wasn't, like, being terrible. He was doing it to protect him, and so that Luffy could make his own choice outside of the influence. And mind you, Luffy ended up having other influences, but Dragon didn't necessarily know that was going to happen. Like, a lot of people like to just look at things as black and white and don't like to view the world in any kind of, like, nuance. And so it's like, they see it just as Dragon was not there for his son. Luffy doesn't even know who his father is or anything about him, has never, like, seen him in his living memory. So people automatically assume, oh, he's a deadbeat dad who doesn't care about his son. It's like, no. You are assuming so goddamn much here. It's like, this is the kind of assuming that Edward Elric in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood did about his father. And then it's found out later in the series that no, Hohenheim is a phenomenal father who just made some bad decisions because he wanted to protect his kids. He did some bad things, but he did it for, like, good reasons because he adores his family. He loves his family probably more than almost anyone else in that series. It's like making these assumptions about people, and yes, that can even go for, like, characters in a show like this. It's like, you shouldn't do that. But yeah, with the ending here, with Ginny being abducted, it's definitely not going to end well. And again, this is not a surprise to me, because it's obvious. Ginny, again, isn't in the modern day that we know of. But we've not seen or heard anything regarding her. Bonnie doesn't talk about her. Kuma's never mentioned her in any way. Eva's never mentioned her. This implies to me that she's probably not around. She's probably dead. And as heartbreaking as that is, now that we're seeing her relationship with Kuma and everything, it's not a surprise. It just makes sense. And I would be more shocked if she were still alive. The question is, who abducted her? Because we didn't get that information. It just said she was abducted. And we only saw, like, a shadow. So I'm not going to go back and try to analyze the shadow. So, with that little bit of information, it's like we don't really know. And obviously, if you do know, if you've read the manga and everything, do not spoil me. I'm just going to tell you right now, that's not something I know about. So, do not spoil me. I'm anime only, and I wish to remain so. I do not want to be spoiled on anything, because I feel that going in as blind as possible makes these reactions even better. So, yeah. This was an episode that was very clear setup, giving us development of these characters, their relationships, and how, again, the Revolutionary Army got started. It's a great episode. It's very important, but it is definitely a calm before the storm episode. It's definitely one of those episodes where it's like, okay, have this cute little fleeting happiness, because next week we're going to fucking break you. That's what it feels like. And that's probably what it's going for. Oda's really fucking good at that. And I hate that he's really good at that, but I also love that he's really good at that because it's so well done. It's just devastating. It's just so hard to deal with. This is going to hurt. I just know it is. I'm prepared for it. I'm ready for it. But it's gonna be a bad time. Either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode. But like I said, no spoilers. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.